Nice. Hello, everyone. We're going to wait a couple of minutes and then get started.
Nice.
I can see a couple of people already here. So if you want to drop in the chat where you're from or what company you're at, I'm in London at the moment and it's still sunny for like the first time in a couple of weeks. So I'm very excited today.
Let's see. Yeah, messages are coming into chat already. Welcome, Suraj. Marco.
In India, nice.
Hey, Timu.
Timo.
Not so sunny LA, nice. Good. I was in LA in March for the first time, and I kid you not, it rained the whole time I was there. I was thoroughly disappointed to go from London with rain to LA with rain.
Interestingly, right now, it's really beautiful weather in Tallinn. Normally, like a couple of days ago, it was raining incredibly. So it's beautiful right now.
I did notice your room looks really bright, so I was like,
It's sunny outside.
Beautiful weather.
Yep.
Nice. Indonesia, nice.
Wow.
And in Florida, it's the opposite, where people actually, it's so sunny all the time that people actually want the rain and the cloudy weather.
Oh,
I can't relate, Dennis, but you know, I can only imagine. New York, amazing. On a ferry. Hi, Vanessa. And hi, Michael, as well.
Yeah.
How is it in Poland today?
Island trip, probably.
Yeah.
All right.
How is it in Poland today, Andre?
Oh yeah, it's quite sunny here, yeah. But it's gonna be very sunny soon, so I hope it'll start sooner.
Nice. Okay, good vibes everywhere in the world clearly today. It's been a a nice day for everyone, which is good. Hi, Caspar. Hi, Ned as well. Ned, let us know where you're joining from. What country are you watching from?
Everybody's waiting for Ned.
I feel like it's going to be a description. It's weird. Gaming game in Turkey.
Really cool.
I'm still waiting for some like UK people to join, but I'm loving the spread of everyone, especially Indonesia. That's really far out. So, okay. We'll wait for some more people to join, and then we'll get started in a couple of minutes as well. But yeah, very excited to have you all. This is the first one, so you guys are part of history today. If you haven't realized, so it's going to be a fun time. Ooh.
Yeah, I remember seeing a couple of proposals at Decentraland got rejected by some of the whales. Some people have huge voting power, and well, it's kind of up to them. But I think some people are working on forks to bring Ready Player Me avatars actually. So it's like there's quite some demand in the Decentraland community to have Ready Player Me avatars, which is really cool.
Nice. Okay, so I know we have limited time, so we're going to start kicking it off now. But before we kick it off, I wanted to welcome you all. As I said, it's the first edition of Ready Player Me's Developer Diaries. And we actually created this space to take you all just under the hood of technical discussions with our partners. So we want to show you guys how to work with us as a platform, some of the lessons that they've learned, and then just give our partners as well the opportunity to share what they've built. So for those of you who are new or aren't too familiar with Ready Player Me just yet, we're essentially an interoperable avatar platform for games and apps. And we know that game development is no joke. It takes a lot of time. It's not for the faint-hearted. So our platform is building the tools to help you just save time, increase user retention. And with our plug and play avatar creator and our tools and SDKs and APIs, we're helping you to do that. So today we are actually joined by two very, very special guests. They are from Faraway, the company behind Mini Royale Nations as well. And we have Denis Zidanov. I really hope I didn't butcher your last name, Denis, because I know you gave me but he is the co-founder. Did I do well?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it. So he's the co-founder of Faraway. And we also have Andre Makarich, and he is the team lead. And from what I understand, he was very, very instrumental to the integration with Ready Player Me and Mini Royale Nations.
Yeah, for sure was, yeah.
Yeah, glad to have you all. And we are also joined by two OGs at Ready Player Me. We have Pablo, who is our chief architect at the company, and we also have Sarge, who is our SDK team lead there. So they know a lot about everything that goes on under the hood, and they're going to join us in our discussion today as well. But before we get started, some housekeeping rules. In the bottom corner, you can see the chat, which I love how you guys are already interactive. Really great to see. We also have the questions tab to the left of that. Now, at the end of this session, we're going to have a Q&A. So if you have questions for our Mini Royale guys as well, or even for our Ready Play Me guys, do put it in the questions tab, and then we'll go through those questions in the Q&A at the end as well. Okay, before we get into the serious stuff, I have a question for each of you on the stage. Now, we want to get to know you a bit better. I would love to know, what was the first console game that you played when you grew up?
Who goes first?
You. Actually, I was just remembering what was the really first game, and that was I think it was called Hide and Seek or Seek and Peek, and that was on Atari 2600. That was really the first console game, and the very first console that I've ever seen. It was not mine, but yeah, the game was awesome. Yeah.
Whose was it?
My cousins.
Nice.
He was rich, and I was not.
Yeah. Just fair. Sarge.
Me? Oh, yes. Yeah. I was just going to ask actually, what identifies as console right now, because people think PlayStation or Xbox or something, but Pavel started it, Atari, so I can go that direction too. I think I had a Nintendo DS, more like my father had, and I was just watching him play. So before this whole YouTube, Twitch streamer thing happened, I was watching my father play because I couldn't play the games myself. So it was really exciting back then. So I can maybe call it that I played, but this is how it started for me. He was playing Mario a lot, actually.
Oh, nice.
That's really cool. Nice. Denis?
Yeah, I played a bunch of Mario too. But actually, I think the first game, I think it was Duck Hunt on NES. It's one of those light gun games.
Yeah, light gun.
Yeah, it was awesome, way ahead of its time.
Nice. And Andre?
Yeah, same here. Yeah, Mario and Duck Hunt. Yeah, were the first. For a long time, I only had Mario. So yeah, I walked through it a lot. really good game.
Yeah.
I think there actually was a Mario Duck Hunt combo cartridge.
Cartridge from China that had a 900 whatever games.
Yeah.
And they were all repeated Duck Hunt and Mario.
I remember games.
My one was, I have older siblings, and when they allowed me to play, the first one that they allowed me to play was actually Crash Bandicoot. So yeah, that was story mode. Spent hours just in that game. So that was my first one. And we would love to know more about just Mini Royale and how it came about. So I'd love to know what inspired you guys to actually create the game.
Sure. So I guess just like a quick background for those of you who don't know what Mini Royale is, it's a browser-based first-person shooter. So if you go to miniroyale.io, you can get in and start playing super quickly. I think one of the things that inspired us, it's like we um, we wanted to have a game that's really fast to get into, so that like time to fun is super quick. Um, and we were working before this on a bunch of browser stuff at Scopely, and really saw kind of that people were sleeping on browser as a platform, and decided like, hey, there's actually a ton you could do. The tech, as far as like being able to roll out browser games, has improved a ton, but the content like wasn't really there, and so we wanted to build like a proper a proper experience on browser that was like fast to hop into, and at the same time also that had more to it. So it had a deeper economy and an open economy. So like as you start playing Mini Royale, you'll see that a lot of the assets that players own, they're on chain, or the things that you win in the game you could mint. And we felt that that was something that's unique and new, and that's something that's better for the players, because like the ability to own something and do whatever you want with it is a lot better than it just being locked to your experience. And then I think that's sort of what eventually led us down the line of like diving full force into this idea of interoperability and partnering with Ready Player Me, and being the first game to have this two-way interoperability, where we're able to bring in other games as content into Mini Royale, and then the things that players own in Mini Royale, they can travel to other worlds and other experiences. And we really see this as the future of where gaming will go, or at least like a big segment of gaming will go.
Nice. And just taking it back to when the idea came about as well. I know you and Alex are the co-founders. How did you decide on like who will do what and what roles each of you will play to actually bring this idea to market?
So Alex and I, we've been working together for over a decade. So I think a lot of it's sort of it's gotten to the point where we don't even really need to kind of decide. I think we have a good, like a long enough working relationship to where we know each other's like strengths and weaknesses, and can kind of interchangeably hop in and then do a lot of stuff. And so we've had our own studio and worked together at bigger studios like Blue and Scopely, and so yeah,
So-
it's been a long time that we've worked together.
Yeah, so it's quite easy then at that stage because you already had that. Nice. Quite a note for any founders or developers in watching and in the chat as well on how that came about. So we know like the bigger company is Faraway. It'll be good for us to understand like how Mini Royale kind of plays into just the wider vision of Faraway and how you see it all coming together.
Yeah, so so Mini Royale, that's the first game that we launched. It was the first live multiplayer game on Solana, and like I said, it's also the first game to have this two-way interoperability. So I think in terms of like where it goes next, we're definitely doubling down on this idea of interoperability and the potential that exists around it. So one for example way is that we actually have another game called Faraway Land that's economically interoperable with Mini Royale. So even though that game is a strategy game, like the gear that you craft in that strategy game, you can equip it on your Mini Royale characters, and then the characters that you win in Mini Royale, you can use in that game to boost your like factories and production, etc. So that's one area of interoperability. And then the other big one is obviously this idea of like visual and content interoperability, and that's something that's we also see as like super powerful, and the ability for ideally, like what we would want to see is like more and more creators and more games to join in and tap into this, to where the content that you could get in Mini Royale, you can use it in a lot more places, and that a lot more people are making this content. And so a big push that we're doing is also around supporting creators and allowing that type of stuff to happen. So we recently launched like user generated skins, where players can do kind of like paint overs over their existing characters and sell those, and similar type of stuff with like being able to add your own characters and sell them. And we really see that as the future.
And I love to see how like they're starting to work together in terms of just the economies there and just the user generated skins. How's reception been for that? Because I know that's something that a lot of people finds important, just in terms of just being able to create their own identities and self-expression. How has the reception been for this launch?
I think players are really excited about this, especially with the ability to own this and then to be able to use it wherever you want, which I think like definitely is something that's that's unique, and that's something that's to be able to do it in like this open and decentralized way is also something that's like super cool. Amazing.
So, which brings us to how the Ready Player Me and Mini Royale collab came about, which I'm sure you saw a lot of Pablo, and then speaking to lots of the OGs of our team as well for that integration. I know you've touched on the importance of interoperability for the team as well, but what led to the actual decision to be like, okay, Ready Player Me integration, this would make sense for us and our users on that side? Here we have a demo as well of how it looks and how you can play with it. Yeah, that question can be for either Dennis or Andre in terms of the decision to integrate Ready Player Me.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, it's like just the capabilities that the Ready Player Me like system already offers. That was like super interesting for us, and then also this the ability to make this even more interoperable, because this like the idea that we started exploring with Ready Player Me was this like two-way interoperability where can we bring in your content and can our content travel, and that's something that I think from a strategic level, both we at Faraway and then you guys at Ready Player Me were very aligned on, and so that it seemed like a very natural fit to try to make it work and be the first to really like show it, because it's something that gets talked about a lot, like especially with the whole like concept of the metaverse and like open metaverse, etc. But I think this was the first time where it actually was like beyond theoretical, and actually you could like see it live, and when players and people can actually like see it and see how it works, I think it becomes a lot more real, and people understand the idea a lot better than versus just kind of the theoretical idea of like, hey, it'd be cool to have it one day, but this now kind of shows it in full force, or at least at the very early stage.
Yeah, amazing. And I know the integration process was an experience, and I'm sure we have some guys in the crowd as well who are developers or aspiring developers and would love to understand more about that actual integration process. So both from our Ready Player Me side, how it was to onboard Mini Royale, but also on the Mini Royale side, how it was to integrate with Ready Player Me.
So the whole integration thing was like very new to us. Like we previously did some integrations for the NFT drops, but that was done completely in a different manner. And this collaboration resulted like in a like completely new understanding of how we actually should do that, and how we actually open up Ready Player Me's capabilities to the extent that people can actually do their drops and provide some external material to our platform. Yeah, I mean, to date, we'll be going this direction, and we completely rework many things. There were some hiccups, of course, especially in terms of how we should actually validate the content that is provided externally. But yeah, lessons learned. We'll be working on that.
Nice.
Yeah, so from our side, yeah, basically we were mostly using documentation and SDK, and that's big thanks and kudos to the guys from RPM, because it was super smooth. We just grabbed an SDK, dropped it in our project, and it worked nothing, where everything was smooth. But yeah, the thing is we met is our game is a shooter. So we have a lot of logic and code that is tied to skeleton structure, that we had to really completely rework this stuff. And actually, thanks for this integration. We're now reworking the whole game to this new skeleton, because it's more widely used, more standard. It's mixed ammo skeleton, and you can always find some animation for it, stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of SDK and getting models, all the APIs just work. And yeah, you really don't need anything more apart from documentation.
Amazing.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, really what I like to hear.
I was about to say Serge and Pablo, because clearly that's a testament to how you guys work with partners. I know you kind of touched on the lessons learned, but I would love to hear from Andre, because I know there must have been some things that you guys had to learn and navigate for the integration to bring it about. Can you touch on a bit on how you navigated different learnings? Maybe you thought something would be X way and it ended up being Y. How was that in the process for you?
Yeah, well, about the lessons learned, yeah, first of all, it's about the skeleton, and it worked both way, because when we were integrating our content to RPM, we faced the similar thing. We had to reskin all our characters, and we need to comply to the structure of the model of the GLB file, Ready Player Me requires. So basically, I wouldn't say that there were a lot of decisions. We need to get it work. And we got the standards and GLB file structure fixed, and we're just moving there step by step. What I would say is we skipped this step at first, but what is really helpful is this validation tool. If you go to integration on documentation on Ready Player Me, there are a bunch of tools where you can validate your models, and that's so there are some plugins for Blender to do that, and there are some viewers where you can drag and drop your model and look on animations, how it works. If you're going to put some content to Ready Player Me, you gotta start with that. Yeah, because that saves a lot of time. Yeah, mostly.
Sorry. Yeah, one side note here, we are developing the validation tool 2.0. That will be much more convenient, and will help the developers. Even more.
Yeah. I hope you guys are listening. That's an exclusive there in terms of what's to come. Yeah, for you guys on that side as well. And no, it's been great to see, as we saw in the demo as well, very smooth, clearly from the back end, but also for users to start to play around with. How would you guys see from the Mini Royale perspective how it's enhanced the game and then the user experience for Mini Royale integrating with Ready Player Me?
Well, I think right off the bat, we saw a ton of players posting on Twitter and on our Discord where they're showing themselves in the game and how they took their selfies and put themselves in the game. That was super exciting. And then also we've had players now take their Mini Royale characters and host events or get-togethers and other experiences, whether it's Hyper or Spatial or a ton of the stuff that's where you can use Ready Player Me characters. So that's been very well received as well.
Nice.
Amazing. It's really proven interoperability on a wider scale there with how things have worked out. And if you guys haven't played it yet, I know Daniel put the link in, so definitely go and experience that on your side for yourself. So I know it's been an interesting integration period, but I would like to ask you guys from both sides of the perspective, what advice would you have for developers that are actually looking to do what you guys have done? So to integrate Ready Player Me into their games and apps. Would there be any advice or things that they need to prepare before doing so? Or from your perspective, what's key to really just keep on driving the interoperability and the integration side for developers and aspiring developers as well?
Yeah, well, first advice is to go and read some documentation, some docs on Ready Player Me, because you will see that, yeah, it works. And there are a lot of platforms and engines supported. So, yeah, keep in mind that, yeah, you will have to integrate a new skeleton in your game. So if you're really tied to that, to the structure of it, probably you need to consider make some preparation for that. Yeah, what I also advise to do is to open the GLB files really that Ready Player Me sends you and look at them, because yeah, some things cannot work just straight away because models tend to rotate on 90 degrees or do something like that. And what really helps to debug those stuff is to open GB file in text editor. It's just a real JSON, and look at it and see how it will work. Yeah. So yeah, I would say GLB documentation would help as well, because it's very well written, and it's a standard Kronos website.
Nice. And a question for Pablo and Sarge as well, for the developers that are watching. What advice would you give to them if they are looking to integrate Ready Player Me into their games and apps? What should they be looking out for? How can they make sure that... I love how Mini Royale, you guys have really built your own lane prior to this as well. But what advice would you give to people in the crowd that will be watching on how to work with Ready Player Me and do it impactfully as well?
Yeah, when we work on the SDKs and integrations, the main idea we have is to make it as easy as possible for the developers so they can have a plug-and-play solution. It even comes with samples, examples, so they don't even need to integrate it yet, because they're small integrations. They can see it in action, then go about it. So definitely check our GitHub organization. Our SDKs are also open source. You can check the code, see how things are done, and check the samples themselves, and see that if Ready Player Me is ready for your case. I'm definitely sure it is. And give it a try, and you will see how that works, and you will understand it better, and you will see that you actually need it. Anything you want to add?
I mean, yeah. First of all, you have to pick up, if the project is not yet there, yeah, select the platform you want to, and then just pick up the sample and just go from there. Because they're really ready to go. Just launch the editor, push the start button. That's it. Yeah, and then read the docs.
It's the best developer advice ever. Yeah. Read
the docs on that side. And a question for you guys. So I really loved both Dennis and Andre, how you guys have kind of just outlined the impact that it's had, how users have taken to it, especially from the UGC and interoperability standpoint as well, which I think is quite powerful because we're really in like the early stages in the grand scheme of things of how this will start to look. So we've done the first integration, it's going well. Where do you see our partnership going between Mini Royale's Faraway as well and Ready Player Me?
I think the thing that would be really cool to see is like more and more developers embrace this and build really cool experiences that where this content can travel to. And so I think that's like, we would love to see that, because the cool thing about interoperability, that unlike traditional gaming where it's sort of like more of a zero-sum game where like everything is locked to that experience, and if like somebody launches a different experience, it's like stealing users away from the first one, and it's like generally like games don't want that. In the context of interoperability, it's the opposite, where like the more people are using common standards and the more people that are like tapping into this open kind of approach, the better, because then if somebody has assets from one game, or like owns content from one experience, and they could take it and use it elsewhere once they've kind of maxed out everything that they could do inside of the first experience, like we see that as something that's definitely beneficial to players. And then in the long run in gaming, like what's good for players is what will ultimately win.
Amazing. And I think one of the things that I like about you guys, I remember I was listening to the backstory as well, is that you really built for the gamers. Like you built the game first, made sure the experience was good. It wasn't like NFTs and then let's get some, it was more like, okay, let's make sure that the gaming experience is all it can be. And it's like a win for the overall economy of just interoperability and great games coming out and being able to move between them. It sounds like it's a win for Mini Royale and other developer games out there, which is the philosophy that we live by and we're building to as well. I could throw that. Oh, sorry, go on, Dennis.
Yeah, I was going to add to that is that like, yeah, we never really looked at like blockchain and NFTs as like that's the driving narrative, but it was more of like, if this new technology allows us to do something that was previously harder to do, then that's how we would use it. And in the case of blockchain, it's like, if you're gonna look at the what it really is, it's just like a public database. And so it just makes it easy in like a more standardized way to have a common public database that anybody can access and prove ownership of like specific assets. And so we felt that aspect of it is powerful. But yeah, you don't need even to use like Ready Player Me in Mini Royale, like you don't need to know anything about NFTs or even like connect your wallet, etc. It's just like you can start playing. Eventually, like if you want to get into more of this open economy aspect of it, then that's where the blockchain comes in, because that's kind of the common layer that it's built on. But yeah, the way we see it is that like in the long run, I don't think people are going to have this distinction on like blockchain games versus non-blockchain games, etc. Like at the end of the day, NFTs are just virtual items, the same way that there are already virtual items in every game that you play. And that the only difference is really that these are virtual items that live on a public database, as opposed to a centralized database that's only exists within that game.
Amazing. And I will in a way put that same question to our OGs from Ready Player Me. So we've had the first integration process. Just thinking broadly, what would you love to see and envision to keep going from our side in terms of just how we work together?
One thing that is for sure needed, and yeah, we understood that it will be like not scalable. We want to give our partners the ability to actually launch their collections themselves through our Ready Player Me Studio, so that they have their timelines. We have our like resources free. Also, we need some tooling to actually make the life of developers easier. That is kind of been developed already, and of course, documentation. I think during the integration of Mini Royale, we changed like 3-4 times the docs to make it like more understandable, more readable, and more useful. Yep.
And Sarge, anything to add to that, Sarge?
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything on top of that. Pavel is always right. So,
we love that.
I mean, I can second what Dennis actually said. Like, digital economy is going to be really, really important in the future of gaming, because right now we pay for games, we buy things in them, and they just perish when we stop playing that game. Blockchain's biggest contribution in this case is that I can carry these over to other games. Faraway might have like multiple. They do have 2 games, and they might have many more games. And everything I buy in one game is gonna transfer the other. I will just keep getting value from it. Like this is really bright future for video games, I think.
It's like making your assets immortal.
In a way, yes, yes. That is like you play Counter-Strike, you buy some skin, you stop playing it, you don't have it anymore, or your account is like blocked or something. Whatever you paid is gone. But this is not the case with a game like Mini Royale.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a great quote. Make your game assets immortal.
Yeah. And it's not the case with what we're building as well on the Ready Player Me side, just to make sure that everything from just like the avatars that users have can move between, as you said, like the assets that you do buy and have can move between all of these games. So we're really at this is very exciting because we're at the early stages still in the grand scheme of things. So just seeing how this is going to continue to grow and how us as just like an economy can work together to keep building this over the next couple of years, I think that's going to be a very interesting thing to start to see. But my last question before I go to the crowd. So if you haven't had your questions in yet, definitely this is a good time to start putting those questions in for Dennis and Andre. Key takeaways that you've had from the first integration and partnership that you've had with us at Ready Player Me. What key things have you taken away? I know we've kind of touched on lessons and how things have gone, but in terms of just takeaways that you're taking forward, what would you speak to that part?
I think the first one, and I think Andre could add to this too, but a big takeaway for us was like, it makes, if there already are open standards that it makes sense to adopt. Like it's a lot better to, especially if you have like a new game in development, to think about using open standards from the beginning as opposed to like building something that's like super custom and then it's really just siloed to your game. Like if we had adhered to that earlier on, like the integration probably would have been even smoother.
I love that.
Yeah. With that, one more thing that it's like integration, interoperability, like appeared to be not that scary, because like in the beginning we were like, okay, we need to integrate the whole new character into our game, and then we need to bake and reskin and do anything with our content and put it there. And in the beginning it was it looked like really scary, a lot of work and a lot of things. And after it happened, like we spent probably not more than 2 months for sure, like for everything. And we have like a lot of tools, a lot of understanding of how it works, and it really worked really smooth, and it was simple. So if you're considering it, like just go. It's not really hard, and you will definitely do it. It's quite easy and it's fun, and you will be able to build more and more after that.
Nice. I love that. I love the, again, key points. I hope you guys are taking note in terms of just like open standards from the start. And then just what Andre was touching on as well, in terms of just how it's worked. So I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I can see we have a couple of questions in the question section. Do bear in mind, if you're asking questions in the chat, please move them over to the question section so we can throw it over to our team as well. I'm going to start with Michael's question. Michael, if you want to ask the question, you can, but I can ask it on your behalf as well. So, is there a plan for the next generation of facial expressions and audio on Ready Player Me? So that question is actually to our OGs.
Ready Player Me avatars already support Wiz and blend shapes and ARKit, which are the most common conventions, just like actually Andre said. So the open conventions, standards like everybody should use. At the moment, there is no plan to go for something custom to make things difficult. But any company that brings technologies around audio and face animation actually also make use of these. Recently, I made an example about the new media pipe, for example, how you could use webcam video feed to face animation. So these kind of things are like easily possible with Ready Player Me avatars right now. So this is going to be pretty much like that. But again, ARKit blend shapes are there from Apple standards. It's the top, it's the best, and it just works. So I'd go with that.
Thanks, Raj. I hope that answered your question, Michael. Let us know in the questions or chat if there's any follow-ups from there. The next question is for our Mini Royale team. So did you have to think differently about integration since you already had a live app? And would you have done anything different if still in development? And that question is from Quinton Wall.
Cool. Yeah, I think this we touched on this a little bit earlier, but yeah, given that we already were using a different skeleton in the game, and it was like migrating to a new skeleton. Yeah, obviously, if we were doing it from the beginning and we knew that it was possible to get all of this working, like we would have just used the open standards, and that probably would have saved us time. And obviously it's like when you do have the live app, because you don't know, like, is this initially, like we weren't sure, like, is it 100% going to work or not? So there's always that risk. And so I think hopefully this shows to others that like not only is this possible, but it's also possible to add to a product that's already live, and that that kind of de-risks it for others.
Nice. I feel like open standards, just the phrase open standards is going to be in my head for the next couple of days now. It's really been drummed in. So thanks for that answer as well. We have a question from Ned, and this is for our Ready Player Me OGs. So he's asked, he's working on a project, and he said, are there any examples of Ready Player Me avatars used in NVIDIA's audio to face?
So great question.
Great question. Yeah.
We know the technology. We are in touch with NVIDIA to have the implementation. However, we do not have a live example of it yet. But I can say we are going to work on it, and no ETA is going to be ready when it's ready. Yeah. But yeah, we are really interested in this technology. I can tell you that.
I can tell that was a good question by the reaction you both had. That was a burst of energy. I think from the questions, this covers the questions that haven't been answered already on that slide. So that kind of brings us to the end of our session today.
I think Sebastian.
One question from Sebastian, actually.
Okay, yeah. So Sebastian said he's building a web experience for a client and looking forward to using Ready Player Me API to create and publish avatars on it. He's not using iframe because it's not working on the Free.js JavaScript.
It's like, I guess it doesn't work in Three.js. You mean like a loading iframe into a canvas? Yeah, that is not going to be possible. However, what you could do is have like a your website as the container, and Ready Player Me iframe actually could live at the same level with the 3D canvas. And you can actually receive messages from Ready Player Me. So in your web application, you can listen for avatar export messages. And when it's received, you can actually load that avatar in the Three.js canvas. So we actually recently released our React SDK. I do not know if your application is React based, but it would be really easy to use it with that. So you could use React 3 Fiber to cover it up. And the example pretty much covers the both sides of it. You can create an avatar and you can display it directly to your user. So I would say definitely check that out.
Amazing. Amazing. Seems like you answered this question as well. Perfect. So thank you everyone for joining for our first Developer Diary session. I hope this was useful, and this will be available to watch after this has concluded. So do feel free to watch it again to gather all of the gems that our Mini Royale team has shared and our Ready Player Me team as well. If you have any other questions or any other comments, do let us know. But we have the relevant links and resources that we've shared to share after this. But make sure you do go out and check out Mini Royales if you haven't already. The integration is actually pretty cool, as you could see. So thank you, Daniel, for sharing that link for getting started with the integration as well. It's been a great time, and catch you at the next session. So thank you to Dennis and Andre. Thank you to Sarge and Pablo, and thank you to all of you guys who have tuned in and joined today. Great questions that you've had as well.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much.
Thank
Tony.
you so much.
And
Yeah.
thank you,
Thanks,
Dennis.
everybody.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.